Welcome back to Eurostep Hoops. I'm here with a very special guest, and this is college legend Dennis Hopson. How you doing, Mr. Hopson?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. Just running crazy, but I'm keeping my sanity.
It gets hectic around March, and
It
especially with
does.
Lourdes. Lourdes, you've made four straight NAIA champions, right?
Well,
Uh, three to
we
the tournament.
we went to the tournament twice, the national tournament back to
Mhm.
back. Last year and this year, we actually won a conference tournament championship last year, and we won 20 plus games each season that I've been there. Outside of the pandemic year, the COVID year, I should say, and we were 9-5 before they shut everything down. So almost got 80 wins under my belt in 40 years. I mean, 4 years, and hey, man, I'm excited about it. And the big thing is, I got great guys playing for me that allows us as a coaching staff to do well.
Oh, I'd like to touch on that. What are some of the advantages that NAIA players have? Like, what's some of the advantages NAIA can offer compared to like a major NCAA school? Like, what are some advantages that players may have when going NAIA over NCAA?
I don't know if there's a lot of advantages. We don't have all the rules that NCAA has. But the nice thing about being on the NAIA level is with us not having so many rules, we're able to, train, not when we want to, but we're able to get a lot more time hands on with our guys versus what they would be able to do on the NCAA side. So, again, man, my thing is, like I tell high school kids, if you're able to further your career, no matter what level it is that you're playing on, hey man, take advantage of it. I know a lot of these kids, they want to play Division I basketball, and Division I basketball is not for everybody. But if you get that opportunity to further your career and play in college, if NAIA is the place or the teams that's recruiting you, NAIA teams, hey man, take full advantage of it because you're still getting to play basketball. You're still doing what you love to do.
Awesome. And kind of you're talking about recruiting here. You were in the 80s, early 80s, you were a phenom coming out of Ohio, one of the top recruits there. Can you kind of
Mm-hmm.
walk me through what the progress was like getting to Ohio State and why you picked Ohio State?
You know what? I never really loved the game like a lot of kids. If you ask a lot of these kids today, what do they want to do and where they want to be, the first thing they're going to tell you is they want to be a professional athlete of some kind. That wasn't me.
Hmm.
I played the game of basketball because a lot of people around me saw my talents, and they were talents that I didn't recognize that I had myself. And it's funny because basketball has been great to me, but I never played basketball as a freshman in high school. I started off playing organized basketball in the fifth grade. Played elementary, played junior high, seventh and eighth grade, but I didn't even play as a freshman because and this is the funny and crazy thing was I didn't even love basketball until the end of my freshman year, going into my sophomore year at Ohio State. So again, it's one of those things to where I was probably a little more talented than the people that I was playing against, and I was able to have that opportunity to play at every level. And the other thing was, you asked me about Ohio State. I didn't. I committed to the University of Cincinnati,
Mm.
and Ed Badger was the coach at that time, and he got fired. So I was able to reopen my commit, and Ohio State came into play, and we had a guy by the name of Calvin Ramsey that's from Toledo, and he played with my brother in high school. He played for Ohio State, and hey man, one thing led to another, and I made a commitment, and it worked out for me. It was a great commit, and I was able to do great things at the university, and was able to leave the university and go on and be a professional athlete for some years.
Definitely. You want talking about that time at Ohio State, you spent 4 years there in the 80s, all-time leading scorer for the Buckeyes. And 1986, I believe, that's when Gary Williams became coach, right? And I
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
when
want
he
to
came
touch
in.
on, yeah, he's a national champion winner with Maryland. He's a legend of the game. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Williams?
It was funny because my junior year, which was Brad Seller's senior year, we played Boston College on national TV, and we played them in
Mhm.
the Garden. It was either on ABC or CBS, and Boston College, they kicked our butts that day on national TV. And my junior year, we won the NIT championship. Now during that season, Eldon Miller was going to be replaced at the end of the year. And we all
Mhm.
knew that. He knew that as well. And the thing was, is I averaged 20 points a game that year. Actually, I led the team in scoring my junior year as well. And when he was let go my junior year, well, going into my senior year, it was one of those scary things because okay, now you're a young man that's just got through averaging 20 points a game. You're a young man that had a great relationship with the past coaching staff. Who's going to be your next coach? So you're unsure, and it's a very uncomfortable situation, a very uncomfortable feeling because what you work for to that point, you don't want somebody to come in and take the things that you built to that point away. But
Mhm.
when they said that Gary Williams was going to be hired as our next coach, I was smiling from ear to ear, and the reason being was because I loved his style of play. His style of
Mhm.
play was he was pressing the whole game, and I didn't know it was going to benefit me the way that it did, and go from averaging 20 points to 29.6 or 7 points a game. But
Mhm.
his style of play, Dino, was just very suitable for me. And, I have to applaud Gary Williams for what he allowed me to do and my teammates, what they allowed me to do my senior year. But I also have to applaud Eldon Miller and his staff for the things that he taught me my first 3 years at the Ohio State University.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And then you, when that in third year when Miller was let go by Ohio State, did you ever you stayed all 4 years at Ohio State and now you have
Mm-hmm.
these people. Scoot Henderson's a great example. He went from high school into the G League Ignite. What do you think about all the recruits, these major players that are going to go into the NBA, deciding either to do like 1 or 2 years of college or go to the G League Ignite or find overseas and then go into the NBA instead of going 4 years in college.
I think, if you're able to spend some years or some time on the college level, if it were me, I would take advantage of that. I think it was very beneficial for me. I watched a lot of other guys. I know Pearl Washington and people like Pearl and Walter Berry. Those guys, they came out of school early, but back then you just didn't have a lot of guys doing that. But I think the advantages for people that stay in college are great because it gives you that opportunity to hone your skills, and learn the game and be coached the way that you need to be coached so you're able to be successful. I just think when you're young and these guys are rushing, trying to be professional athletes, and you're playing against all these grown men, it's going to be kind of rough. It's going to be rough. But you have the special guys. You got the guys like a LeBron James, those type of guys that came out of school early and they were able to make it happen. But at the end of the day, man, it's a grown man's league. And if you can do time in college, I would spend the year or two extra to get the necessary skill work that's going to be very important for your growth as a basketball player.
Hmm. Definitely. You got drafted to the New Jersey Nets and
Mm-hmm,
you had a 3 year stint there. You led the team in scoring, I believe your last year. But I want
mm-hmm,
to touch on you were coached by Willis Reed during part of your time there. He's a living legend for the Knicks. Of course, he played in the finals with that broken leg in the 70s.
mm-hmm.
And what was it like having such like an icon of the game be your coach? Like, what did you learn from him, and have you adapted any of that into your coaching style now?
Well, I think back then when I got drafted by Jersey, it wasn't a great situation at the beginning, or actually during my 3 years there, because we had four coaches in 3 years, and
Mm,
the stability that I was used to coming from Ohio State, it just wasn't there. I had Dave Wool, I had Bob McKenna, I had Willis Reed, I had Bill Fitch. But Willis was a player's coach. I think he was new to the whole coaching piece in regards to the whole NBA side of things. So it wasn't as easy for him either. But again, the relationship was great. There was things that were learned from Willis, and there was things that was learned from the other four guys that coached me as well in New Jersey. But again, like you said, Willis was an icon, and the good thing about a guy being a player, he's able to bring some things over to the coaching side to where he's able to get his point across to where you're able to relate to him as a coach. So there was things that I learned from all the guys that I played for on that level in New Jersey. But Willis was a great guy to be around. He was an excellent guy to be around.
and of course, 1990, you were the leading scorer of the Nets. Can you kind of walk me through that trade with Chicago, getting traded to Chicago, going from your home in New Jersey in the NBA to a new city and go play with some stellar teammates such as Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Horace Grant, and a
Mm-hmm.
legendary coach under Phil Jackson as well?
It was difficult for me, and let me tell you why it was difficult. Because my first year I averaged nine, I think 9 point something. My second year in New Jersey, I averaged 12 or 13, and then my third year, again, like you said, led the team in scoring, almost averaging 16 points a game. So I found myself getting a feel for the game.
Hmm.
Now, my this is when not Willis Reed, but Bill Fitch had come in, and
Hmm.
it was difficult for me because I didn't really see eye to eye with Bill Fitch. Um, and it kind of hurt me when I got traded to Chicago, because if I was going to be traded anywhere, I would have never dreamed that I would have been traded to Chicago,
Mm. And why do you say that?
because you're being traded to a team that has the best player in the country,
Hmm.
and we play the same position. And again,
Mm.
I felt myself growing as an NBA player, and I don't know if that trade was made purposely to set me up, or what it was. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I know at the beginning, I never forget. I was at my basketball camp here in Toledo, Ohio. I was having at one of the local high schools,
Hmm.
and I got a phone call saying that you were traded to the Chicago Bulls. And the word got out, and everybody was coming up to me, congratulating me on the trade again, because you're going to the Chicago Bulls. Well, that wasn't that big of an excitement to me, because, yeah, going to the Bulls, but again, I'm playing behind the best player in the world. So you're leaving a team where you led them in scoring, going to a team like Chicago, playing behind Michael Jordan.
Hmm.
What is Dennis Hopson's time going to look like playing behind Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
So it wasn't a easy transition for me. It wasn't something that I was overly excited about. Um, but I think as time went on, and as I got older as an individual,
Mhm.
as a person, I respected my time in Chicago. Couldn't appreciate it, and didn't respect it at the beginning, but I respected it as time went on, because those guys were very, very committed. You talked about Scotty, you talked about Horace. I got drafted with Scotty and Horace. We all came out at the same time, and those guys had a goal. Those guys had a mission, and
Mhm.
they stuck by what that was, what the mission and what the goal was, and that was to win a championship. So being traded to Chicago brought new life to me, and it worked out. Man, I tell people today, man, you got mega stars, you got guys that's 10-time All-Stars, and they've never won an NBA championship. So I can honestly say, I'm an NBA champion, and I have an NBA ring. So again, I'm able to appreciate that now, but when it happened, I just couldn't understand why, and I wasn't overly excited about that trade. But I understand it and respect it now.
Yeah. You got after that championship with the Bulls, you got traded to the Kings. And then I believe the following offseason, you made your move overseas. Can you
Mm-hmm.
touch on like some of the differences and some of the nuances of playing in an overseas league versus playing in the NBA and college ball in the America?
Well, the great thing about where I played over in Europe, I played in big time countries. Okay, because I was an elite player, and I was a elite player, and so I played over in big time countries. The only thing that's really different is you had the European game. They're not as they're not as athletic as the guys over here, but they're super physical. But what they have over there versus what we have over here, those guys are fundamentally skilled, and that's why you see so many Europeans coming over to the states playing now because their fundamentals are incredible. They're off the charts, and again, that's what the game of basketball is made up of, fundamentals, and they do a nice job of playing basic basketball. But that's the difference. Over here, physicality, athleticism. Over in Europe, fundamentals are great, and that's something that the Americans need to get back to in regards to playing the game of basketball. And that's why so many Europeans are coming over to the states playing.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it in the MVP conversation this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not just Europeans. You've got Joel Embiid, you've got Giannis, you've got Luka, and you've got Jokic. They're all top four in MVP voting. You could throw in
Mm-hmm.
Tatum there, but that's one American in the top five voting. And you're seeing that be a very big topic in these conversations surrounding the discourse of international basketball, this
Mm-hmm.
invasion of internationals into, and even Canada. You got a
Mm-hmm.
ton of Canadian stars in the league now. And do you think you saw that and recognized that talent? You could see, did you predict that that could happen? That you could see a wave of internationals coming in to the NBA?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We had a couple guys that got drafted with me.
Mhm.
Okay, and you could see the transition. And then as time went on, and the conversations from some of the general managers, hey man, they were going overseas, finding the best kept secrets and bringing them over, and they're here now, and they're not going anywhere, and they're going to continue to do the same thing again because there's a lot of talented players over in Europe that can play the game of basketball, overseas that can play the game of basketball.
Definitely. And with this, I feel like there's a stigma, and we saw it a little bit at the beginning of the year with Dwight Howard. He went over to Taiwan, and of course, he's a champion. He's a defensive player of the year. He's one of, in my opinion, the top 75 player of all time. And you saw the stigma of people thinking of saying he's going to Taiwan and he's got to beat up on a small league. Do you think that there is a stigma, and do you think that there's ways to counteract that stigma of NBA players having the term like washed up when they go to overseas?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fair. You have to. Everybody's situation is different.
Mhm.
Dwight Howard, or Dennis Hopson, or Cliff Livingston, or Dominique Wilkins. Um, it's just it's one of those things. You never know what a person's situation is. I know my situation was, I'm sorry, got bad advice. Got bad advice from my agent. Had guaranteed money on the table at Sacramento. Had a great year when I got traded over there. Had a great year, but greed was involved. They wanted to sign me to a 1 year contract, but my attorney, he wanted a multi-year deal,
Mhm.
and they didn't want to give me a multi-year deal because they just drafted Walt Williams in that draft, and I don't know if they had the money to actually give me a multi-year deal, but I could have played the 1 year, and then I would have become an unrestricted free agent. Okay, now who's to say I averaged 10 point some points a game in 18 minutes of playing time? Had I went back and played that 1 year, had another great year, somebody else may wanted to pick me up, okay, and pay me a lot of money. But unfortunately, kept delaying. Well, Sacramento went in a different direction. They signed Vincent Askew. That caused me to go overseas. Now I got called overseas. Okay, so again, everybody's situation is different. So but it shouldn't be a stigma put on. Hey, man, why are you coming over? Okay, why are you coming over here to play basketball? Over to the states, over to Europe to play.
Mhm.
When you're an NBA guy,
Yeah,
Dominique Wilkins, I'm sure he had his reasons for going over. Cliff Livingston had his reasons for going over. Dwight Howard might have his reasons for going over.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a business. And if you're able to continue to make money somewhere else, why not go over there
Mhm.
and make money?
Definitely, definitely. And to kind of just end out this, I'm just gonna get some basic, just some kind of random topics, but keep it
Mm-hmm.
so like GOAT talk. I mean, some people have MJ as their GOAT, some people have LeBron, some people still think Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's your opinion on the GOAT take? I know it's a question you've probably heard beat into the ground, but interested to see your
Different.
perspective.
Well, you know what, Dino, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's different eras,
Hmm.
okay? And I played with one of the best, okay, in Michael Jordan. I never played against LeBron or never played with LeBron.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh all great players in their eras. Okay. In my eyes, it all will go down as the GOAT. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to pick one player because it's not fair. Okay. And if I did pick one player, it would be Michael Jordan because I had the opportunity to play against him and play with him. Okay.
Hmm.
But then on the flip side, I like LeBron James. I like Kobe Bryant. But I think a lot of guys are left out of the conversation. I mean, Kareem. How many people talk about Kareem? How many people talk about Oscar Robertson? He was a triple double machine.
Yeah.
You
He's
know,
got the
so
championships at boot too.
there you go. So it's just not fair. So if you're gonna pick one, you better pick all. That's the way I look at it.
All right. And then you mentioned you have an AAU team and AAU teams seasons coming up. You want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about that at all? I know it's based in Toledo, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's based out of Toledo. We have kids from Michigan and Ohio. It's Hobson Elite. And we go from fourth grade all the way up to 17U.
Hmm.
I've had it for some time, and I'm able to do that. Being on the NAI level, again, that's one of those rules that we don't have because if I was on the NCAA side, you can't be affiliated with the AAU program. Again, it just gives kids opportunity to play, man, and learn. And I'm very active with the kids. I don't coach the teams. I have coaches that do that, but I'm very active in regards to showing up at practice. And if I can add my 2 cents or teach and help, I would do that. But again, it just gives kids opportunity to play, man, and play against other people outside of Ohio. We travel around. We go to Indianapolis or Indiana, I should say. We go to Kentucky. So we move around a little bit, and it's fun for me, and more importantly, it's fun for the kids.
Definitely. Like touching on AAU culture, you see this explosion of ball dominant ISO, Kyrie Irving like plays. Everyone wants to be the star of the team. Do you think that AAU culture, you have a unique perspective, you have an AAU team. Do you think that's
Mm-hmm.
helping the game, it's hurting the game, or it's a mix of both?
I think what the kids are seeing today, it's not that the game is being hurt by what the kids are seeing. Now, it's okay to see it, but they have to understand that those guys that's doing it, they started from ground zero.
Mhm.
Again, we talked about the whole fundamental piece earlier on. What these kids are trying to do, they're trying to go out and duplicate what they see, and they don't have the basic fundamentals of the game of basketball. All right.
Mm.
Again, Kyrie Irving is capable of doing what he's able to do with that basketball because he has the basic fundamentals down pat.
Yeah.
Okay, he wasn't born like that. He learned how to do all that, and it starts with basic fundamental basketball. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of kids are being uh, messed up because they're trying to duplicate what they see from these pros, and you just can't do it, man. You got to crawl before you walk. And
Definitely.
and and again, if kids want to learn how to play the game of basketball, it starts from the fundamental side.
I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think you gotta learn how to walk before you learn how to run.
There you go. There you go. You just hit the nail on the head.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Hobson. We're all out of time here, but I want to thank you for your time and I want to wish you a great day. If there's anything you'd like to say to end it off, now's your time.
I appreciate your time, man, and good luck to everybody that wants to be a basketball player. Just continue to work and grind it out, and best wishes. Hope all works out for them.